As an Italian teacher, I've met a lot of students with Italian heritage who were feeling quite confused and frustrated with their Italian learning experience. They told me that learning Italian felt strangely difficult and foreign, even though they could understand their grandparents perfectly when they were children. It's almost as if they were learning a completely different language than what they absorb at home. And honestly, that's exactly what was happening. Buongiorno a tutti, benvenuti o bentornati sul mio canale. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Valentina 𝗬𝗂𝗏, native Italian teacher, and today I'm going to explain this fascinating phenomenon that confuses so many people with Italian heritage. I will give you a practical demonstration of just how different these languages actually are, and I will show you strategies to bridge the gap and connect with both your family heritage and modern Italy. And I'm really curious, do you have Italian origins and have you ever experienced something like this? Let me know in the comments. Ok, iniziamo. Let's begin. So here's the key point that many people don't realize. When the majority of Italian immigrants left for America between 1880 and 1920, they were not speaking Italian. At the time of the Italian unification in 1861, only about 2.5% of the population spoke standard Italian. The rest of the population spoke their local dialects, which, as I explained in my previous video about Italian dialects, are actually separate languages with their own grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. This situation continued well beyond the early 1900s, and in fact, it persisted until after World War II. Only in the 60s and 70s did Standard Italian truly became the primary language for most Italians. And even after that, dialects remain predominant in family contexts. So all this actually also applies to people whose families emigrated later. So your great-grandmother from Sicily wasn't speaking Italian, she was speaking Siciliano. Your great-grandfather from Naples wasn't speaking Italian, he was speaking Napoletano. And these languages are as different from Italian as Spanish is from French. Now, when I say dialects, I need to clarify something important for English speakers. I don't mean different accents like American versus British English. I mean completely different languages with different words, different grammar, almost like separate languages entirely. Now, let me show you exactly how different these are. I'm going to give you some simple phrases in Standard Italian and in different dialects. Now, I'm going to use Sicilian because that's the one I know the best as I am Sicilian. And I'm also going to use Roman dialect, which I personally find fairly easy compared to other Italian dialects. But hey, I don't guarantee to sound as authentic as someone who was actually born in Rome. Va bene? Okay. So let's begin. For example, let's suppose we want to say, where are you going? In Italian, that's dove vai? Dove vai? In Roman dialect, that would be dov'hai? In Sicilian dialect, that would be unni vai? Now, another example. Let's suppose we want to say, let's go. In Italiano, andiamo. In Roman dialect, annamo. In Sicilian dialect, imuninni. L'ultimo esempio, last example. What do you want? In Italiano, cosa vuoi? In Roman dialect, che vuoi? In Sicilian dialect, chi vuoi? Now, as you could hear, these aren't just different accents, they are completely different words sometimes. And this is just a few very simple examples. The grammar structures, the verb conjugation, and the vocabulary can be completely different. So this is why many people with Italian heritage might recognize some words their grandparents used, but they can't actually communicate in Italian. They inherited pieces of dialect, not the standard language. So if you visit your family place of origins and only speak dialect, you should be good to go, right? Not exactly. As I said previously, in the 60s and the 70s, Standard Italian truly became the primary language for most Italians, thanks to the role of school education and also mass media. In fact, in the last decades, there's actually been a dramatic generational shift in language use. Recently, one of my viewers shared a perfect example of this. He was born in Sicily and raised there until age 4, then moved to the US. When he returned to Italy and Sicily specifically as an adult, he noticed something surprising. He could only understand people who were older than 50 years old. So here's what happened. Since he left Italy before completing school here and his family probably spoke dialect at home, at least primarily dialect at home, he maintained his ability to understand Sicilian dialect rather than Standard Italian. And the older generations in Sicily still use more dialect in their conversations, while younger people speak much more Standard Italian. This is why he could communicate with people over 50 but struggled with younger Sicilians. So, what can you do if you're in this situation? So, my strategy number one, strategia numero uno, if you want to travel or live anywhere in Italy, learn Standard Italian. This is the language spoken in schools, offices, media, and by educated people throughout Italy. It's what you need for practical communication, travel, business, and cultural understanding. Even if you have some dialect knowledge, Standard Italian will help you communicate with all generations and in all regions of Italy. Strategy number 2. Strategia numero 2. If you are specifically interested in preserving your family's dialect, then you can explore learning your specific regional dialect, but be aware that this path is much more challenging. Dialects have fewer organized resources, very limited written materials, and you will only be able to use them in that specific region or only in that specific area because dialects change even within the same region. So many of my students with Italian heritage choose to learn Standard Italian first, and then they explore their family's dialect as a cultural curiosity once they have a solid foundation in Italian. If that's your case too, and you're just starting your Italian learning journey, I have plenty of resources for you here on my channel. If you don't know where to start, you can download my PDF with the first 10 verbs you need to learn to start speaking Italian. You can download it for free using the link in the description of this video. But whether you choose to learn Standard Italian or explore your family's dialect, understanding this distinction helps you connect more meaningfully with your heritage and our country. So I'm really curious, do you have Italian heritage? And if so, did your family speak any Italian or dialect at home? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing your family stories. And please share this video with people in your family or the people that you know who also experienced this. And if you want to learn more about the history of Italian dialects and regional differences, check out my other video about why Italian has so many dialects. The link is in the description. See you soon. A presto. Ciao da Valentina.